All right, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Real Outdoors. Captain Adam here with Captain Jeremy and our friend Captain Tyler.
Sync your cameras.
Oh yeah, you didn't do your job.
We're synced.
Okay, there we go. I think I'm just gonna leave it.
Yeah.
And then we'll just, people will enjoy that.
Yeah,
Let's see what goes into the production.
Action.
The action. Yeah. If you like hand claps to start out, hit that subscribe button because it's always there. Yeah. It's just normally cut out.
We're just using we're syncing 3 iPhones. No, there's no special equipment in the room.
One old Android.
No, an Android. Yeah. No, we're not using
iPad 2.
No high-end equipment here.
No, nothing good. So Captain Roundtable, it's back. Did I say hit subscribe button? Oh, I did. Yeah. Make sure you hit that and the bell, and like this.
Tell your wife to subscribe too.
Yeah.
She does. You know what she does for us?
She shares it.
She starts the video, turns the audio all the way down, and lets the whole thing play for the analytics.
One more watch. One more view.
And they watch the whole thing.
And the whole thing is really important. Watch the whole video.
With the volume down.
Your watch minutes went up.
Because she doesn't want to listen to my fiction.
She's tired of you.
She is tired of me. She's a good, patient woman.
She's a very patient individual.
Just stays patient. As long as she stays patient, I think we got a chance.
We're doing it.
We have a great topic. Yeah, so divers.
My favorite.
Yeah, I mean, there's no better way to catch them.
I was gonna say, if you had one rod,
deadly.
if you had one rod, what would it be?
It would be a diver.
Diver, 100%.
Yeah.
Wire diver for me, for sure. If I had one rod.
Same.
So I think to simplify this, so that people can understand, we're gonna say we're going out fishing. We're gonna fish in more than 100 foot of water. The thermal is at 60, so cold water's at 60 feet, and it's predominantly kings that we're targeting. Mm-hmm. So it's a king target. This isn't a tournament. We're not trying to catch big kings. We're trying to just catch numbers, catch fish.
This is July 25th.
July 25th. We're in Grand Haven, Michigan. I can't do the Scotty Mac. Grand Haven, Michigan. The port of Grand Haven, Michigan. I don't know if that was any good.
That was good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Love Scotty.
Love
Great
Scotty.
guy.
He's fun.
Yeah.
He's a good
those boys
sport.
do a lot.
He should come on our show.
We should have him on the show.
Yeah. We can talk about whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Scotty and Chris, man, those guys are great.
That would be fun.
They're great.
Okay. All right. Divers. You're sending your divers out. What's on them? Where are they going? Or what are they too? Like what's your configuration?
Let's see. I'm going to start out with 4 wires. On my high, I'm going to put a Fat Nancy Drinking Weaver Spin Doctor on one high. The other high, I would probably do like a white slick with a meat rig. That's one of my favorites.
8 or 10.
8.
Okay, and your Fat Nancy is going to have what on it?
Green crinkle.
That's what I figured as much, but I just wanted you to say
House.
that. Yeah, and I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
That's can't lose, can't go wrong.
Can't lose. You can put it behind anything.
Yeah.
On the lows, probably going to do another meat rig on one. I might even do both. Just depends what we're feeling. Mm-hmm. On the other one, I'd probably do like an 8-inch paddle of some sort. Mm-hmm. Just kind of keep them honest. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'm going to put out what I've been using the last couple days.
Sure.
Blessed to be able to fish every day.
So thermal's at 60.
Yeah.
And where are you letting them out?
We're in the morning.
Yeah, in the morning. Where you what are your settings?
One on 3 on the highs. Mm-hmm. Anywhere from 2.5 to 3. I'm going to go 169 on one and 180 on the other. On the lows, I'd probably go 120 and 105.
Yeah.
That's where I would live.
Yeah, I like it. I agree with you. I might start at 105 and then I start creeping it back pretty soon. So I would just make sure they're not sitting above the thermal, but I might start, we might run that for the first 30, 45 minutes and then I'm going to start creeping it all back a little bit.
For sure.
I like the highs. I think highs at 180. I mean, how deep do you think the high diver at 180 is? That something that we should know more about.
Well, I think
we have the technology to do this.
Yeah, it depends on the ring, depends on the weight. 60. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. Is it on 2.5? Is it on 3?
Yeah.
You can see how it cuts the water.
And there's a lot of variables. How much current you got? Are you going into it? Are you going with it? There's a lot. There's definitely a lot to it.
Oh yeah. But if you want to know, there's a way to know.
We know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. We know. We have the technology to do this, and we need to. I think it would be interesting to actually to do that and publish that.
Yeah, I think so.
It would help a lot of people.
For
sure.
Yeah. So
I know there's dive curve, there's dive charts and that stuff, but I'm talking about real world,
especially
the way we fish.
The speed is so the dive curve is so greatly adjusted by the speed.
Yeah. And what did we learn this year about divers?
They don't all dive the same.
They're not all the
No,
same.
they do not.
They are not all the
Crazy.
same.
And they can look like they're diving the same, and they're not.
They're
They are.
not.
And so
It's
that's
crazy.
And I would say, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it really matters that that they don't necessarily run the same, except for you can't trust one side to be the same as the other side as much as you think.
Right.
I think the key is reproducing whatever's working. So that's what's really important. I don't think it matters like, if one side's getting bit at 180 and the other one's getting bit at 195, those divers might be in the same spot in the water column.
Yeah.
You might not know.
They're not
and we
running
don't-
different because of the troll and
That's-
current.
So that's the thing. It isn't side by side. It might not be the same, but I think your point, 169 on one, 180 on the other, staggering them a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, but not much.
Do you set your high divers first?
I set my highs first.
And get them out of the way?
Yep.
Okay.
And I always set my divers first because I don't want to set my out down and then set my low
Yeah.
because that can get catastrophic failure.
And we have shown the technique on how you can get away with that, but still, unless you're experienced at that, I would recommend setting your divers first and getting them away from
Yes.
the boat before you set your out down into it.
Yeah.
And you gotta go behind the boat, let it go down, and walk it over.
It's definitely painful in the middle of the morning bite or in the first set when you get your out down into your low diver.
And if there's current, if your rigger's out and there's a bunch of current, you start setting your diver and you don't realize that there's current, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
It's once you can see, it's easier to decipher a lot of what's going on.
For sure.
When you're trying to set stuff fast in the morning,
Yeah. And
if you set it in the wrong order,
yeah, you're
you're gonna send it into each other.
historically, I've run fin weights too, and that's another thing. Like fin weights on the out downs kick out a decent
More than
amount,
you think.
especially if they're down 100 feet.
Yep.
And you can get into trouble pretty quick.
Yep, for sure.
I think running sharks has helped with that to some degree. I think those sharks track a little bit straighter.
Yeah.
And that's something that we did this year. I don't know if you guys have ever played around with sharks at all.
No,
but
I just run the cannons.
yeah, those shark weights pull pretty nice. I'm pretty
Yep.
impressed with them.
Yep, for sure. So I think I've like gone through this huge transition of running spoons, where I'm running a lot of spoons,
Yes, you
and
do.
I run very often in the first thing in the morning for a couple different reasons. But I run glow spoons, usually mags, on my high divers, and then
On wire?
on wire. Yep. And one of the reasons that we do it is that if you can hook a fish and land it very quickly.
You can.
A spoon on a diver, it's not out very far. The fish really doesn't have that much advantage. They can't make massive runs because they don't have that paddle and all of that other
And a
stuff.
tangle is a lot easier to fix.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not holding this together.
So that's that's definitely one of the things that, and I kind of got that from Clocked Out. Dennis, he's been on the show before, and those guys will run all spoons in the morning, which is crazy to me, but there's been days when I do it. I like to have the rotation though. I think the rotation brings fish in.
Yep.
So very often my low, on one side is going to have, a 10-inch white slick pickle, either pickle rig or pickle
rig.
pickle fly,
Yep.
and then the other side very often has a paddle on it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what I was going to
And a
say.
big paddle.
The only thing I would do different to your spread on our boat is that I probably would put a big rotator of some sort on one of the lows. And we don't have a center downrigger. So generally speaking, if I were running on a boat that had 3 downriggers, I would probably have a big paddle on my chute, early in the morning especially. And I think that big rotator, I'm not so worried about it catching fish necessarily, but I think having that
Attracting.
rotation in there brings fish
brings
into the
them in.
Do you think it
spread.
really
Yeah.
does?
I mean, it seems like it. It seems like, and I don't know if it's the rotator or if it's just that, like,
The noise.
one thing
whatever
that
it is.
we've noticed is that if especially in the dark, if you can pull a pod of fish in that follow you around,
They're going to eat something.
they will bite.
Yeah.
And the more of them that there are, the more competition, the more aggressive the bite tends to be. And that's why you can be next to a boat. You could be on either side of it. You could be next to the boat and you're watching them just straight jack while you're not busy, and you're like, what are we doing wrong?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes they get a pot of fish that just comes into their spread and like sits
gotta fight
there
for it.
and they sit
And you
there.
can see it, on Panoptics. You can see it.
Right.
You can
really see how they react.
4 or 5 fish come into the spread though.
And I think that's especially true if you're running a spoon-heavy spread. I think if you've got a bunch of small rotators out, I think it's probably less of a thing. I think it's just
agree.
if you're keying in on a spoon program, you probably need to have something in the water that's making a noise or a commotion or something, because I think it does trigger the bite.
And oftentimes, if the thermal's 60, my high diver might be at 100.
Yeah.
You know, one of them. And the other one's usually deeper, probably 140, 160, 180, somewhere in there. And then I like to run my low in relationship to the high. So if I'm running the high up high first thing, the low will be, it will correspond. So if it's at 100, you know, that low might only be back 70.
Yeah.
Where the other side, if I'm at 160, you know, most of the time I'm right around 100 to 110 on my low.
I don't like to run my highs past my lows. I don't.
No,
But I don't know if some
your
people
highs
do.
past your low or your lows past
My
your high?
lows past my highs.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I very seldom do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that is not really.
It's usually if I'm trout fishing with it or something. But
Yeah.
then, you know, as far as my riggers go, I'll correspond. I like my riggers to correspond in that same pattern with, so my high side is my high side, my low side is my low side. If I'm fishing 60 feet on this side and 40 feet on this side, it's all going to be relative to each other. I find that I get a lot more bites, like complementary bites, I feel like.
They kind
Agreed.
of dart in and out of
And I think that's the thing, right? You want them to swing it and see, you know, they might be coming in and looking at your diver and spin it and peeling off and biting your out down. I mean,
Yeah.
you definitely see that. We can see it on the Panoptics, especially. And I mean, that's something I think with the live scope that I would like to pay
more
more little
time.
attention to. One thing we haven't done much of is running the live scopes early in the morning.
Yeah.
Like we always talk about it, but it's just one more thing in the morning that we don't want
And
to deal with.
it's one more
So-
person, because you really need a person to run it.
Yeah, staring at it.
Yeah.
So but I think that there's some value in trying to sort that out a little
Yeah,
bit.
for sure.
very
Some
well.
things we can learn there. What do you like for diver length for your diver leader?
Like anywhere from 12 to 15 feet.
So pretty short.
Yeah, short for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I do not like long hand lines.
Yeah.
I don't. Never
Yeah,
have, never will.
Mine are never under 20.
And ours are that's how we run the opposite.
Super
Now,
long.
I don't know. You know, I think that there's something to be said about certain boats too, and I think that that's something to be said about
Oh, yeah, I
your
think
particular
so.
boat. Is that boat is fishy?
Very
Yeah.
fishy.
That boat, there's
Fish
something
come
about
to that
the
boat.
there's something about the hum of that boat that
It's-
they like that.
I love that.
And I think that maybe less of the case for us with outboards. I don't know,
Could be different.
but I think that there definitely is something to be said about certain boats being fishy and being attractive.
Right.
And I think the 33, our Tierra is like that. Our 33 historically has been very fishy.
They're just fishy.
For whatever
You
reason.
start them up in the morning, you're like, that one catches fish.
Yeah.
You can hear it.
No, I know.
You can hear it.
I totally agree. It's
I think that there's the noise.
There's definitely
that-
science to it.
Yeah.
There
And
is.
so I think for us, maybe the little bit the longer diver leaders, if the bite is crazy wide open, I don't think it matters.
No.
I think if they're really chewing, we can run short diver leaders. But I think for us, a lot of times we have kind of a big profile in the water. We're trying to be a little bit more stealthy.
I think that the longer your diver length is, the more a rotator's going to rotate too. Like the size of the scope.
It'll be a slower roll,
Be a
perhaps.
slower roll, but
Yeah.
larger circle.
Well, I think some divers attract fish too.
Yep.
I mean, it being close to that is almost like, oh, there's the head of the bait. Oh, there's one behind them. I'm gonna eat that one.
Yep.
I don't know.
I mean, and I think I got that first from you guys probably with those clear divers with the UV tape on them. I've been running those for probably a decade, courtesy of a seminar that I went to that angles were talking about.
Yeah.
And I mean, when guys like that talk, you listen and you
You
learn
have to
things,
listen.
and you definitely catch more fish.
Yeah.
So I have like my low diver on my side of the boat that I run is always that chartreuse with a white ring.
Yeah.
Louis Jensen, always. But my highs are clear divers with UV tape.
Yeah.
But I just can't. It always is there. Like
That's your diver.
if I run a different one, I don't have any faith in it, and I'm changing the diver out.
Yep.
I don't know what it is.
And I'm kind
But
of the
it
opposite.
works,
I
so-
run black. I run black lows generally speaking.
What was that?
If you would have seen what just happened.
Oh boy. Man down.
A man down, but it fell and it landed
Oh.
perfectly upright.
Oh.
Who brought you to the party?
Well, I mean, since we were interrupted by it, there's probably no time like the present
No.
to talk about the title sponsor of today's
Yeah.
diver video.
Looks like sand in a bottle.
That's kind of tastes like that.
If you haven't had an opportunity to watch the Malort commercials
They're actually good.
They're
Oh,
hilarious. It's fun.
Yeah.
So we decided we were going to introduce Captain Tyler to Malort because he's never had it before.
Never.
So I will say this is something that Brad Craigbaum tried to punish me with one time.
Fin fire. Yeah.
Since has become a staple.
That's a guy I don't think I'd want to go 1-for-1 with.
No, you sure don't want to. No,
I tell you what though, if I was in, let's just say I was in a adult beverage location and something was going to go down,
He's
wouldn't
on
mind
my
if
team.
he-
No, he's on my
he
team.
was near me.
Have a good friend to have.
Brad's a great guy, man.
Yeah,
He'd probably be like, don't get up.
Yeah, I got this. I got this.
So,
Yeah.
with no
Here's
further
to you.
ado, here's
Here's
to
to
you.
you.
Should we
Brad?
read the?
Captain Brad.
Where's the description about how
It's
delicious
made
it is?
Chicago, USA.
Finest floral. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Women
Yeah.
should not drink alcoholic beverages during pregnancy.
true. No one should drink this ever.
Cheers. Wow. That's like
What's
a.
wrong with you? There really is.
I really rather enjoy that.
It's like a,
so
eating like
bad.
if you took a grapefruit and just took a bite out of the peel.
It was
that's what
rotting?
that tastes like.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
good.
it's really good, Brad. Thanks.
I think it's pretty good. Nice and warm though. Nice and warm on a winter day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not bad.
It's almost like eye drops. Because every
Yeah, I
time,
mean-
if my eyes are dry and I do a shot of that, like they're not dry anymore.
My
You know how like
sinuses-
acetone works wonders on just about any surface? That stuff probably do the job. My goodness.
Wow.
It's good stuff.
Anyways,
Anyways,
divers.
back to divers.
That's good.
I'm sweating now.
Yeah, no kidding. I have heartburn.
But I think that's the diver. If you talk to people about in the mornings like what's working, you'll find that it's a lot of the same. It's a lot of the same. That diver back 180, that diver back 160, whatever it is.
I think if you have your divers, like if your divers are going, you can really adjust to that.
Yeah, and absolutely. And it tells
If
you
your
so much.
divers are going, like okay,
Can you guys think of any other bite that's better than... There's only two bites that I think are like the coolest bites in the world, but one, just a big diver bite. Like there's just the coolest. The only other one that's kind of like that is if a king bites it, go in the opposite direction. Bites your rig or go in the other direction.
Yeah.
And it's just
Especially-
instantly tight in peel and drag. Like that's cool too.
like a big paddle down, 150 feet, and it just stays pegged.
yeah, just
Then
straight
it pops
down.
and it goes-
Screaming.
That's also a cool bite. But other than that, I think a wire diver bite doesn't
you
get
can't
any
do
better.
that. No.
All right, let me ask you guys a question on diver bites. So there's a couple different schools of thought on what is the optimal way to make sure that you hook that fish. And I'll tell you, for instance, what I do. So like, I keep my drags kind of tight on my wires, and I wait for that bite. And once that bite, once I see 3 or 4 head shakes, I'll back the drag off and let them turn their head and let them go the other way. And let them get away from where they are. So you want them, in my mind, you want them going the opposite direction, and then you slowly tighten the drag back up and start to turn the handle. That's what I do. But what do you guys think? I've seen guys like open the clutch and free spool on the thumb.
That's
on
a good
wire.
way to-
On
I've
wire.
seen it. It works for
and
them,
then
but-
let them go, and then engage the clutch, and boom, they're tight. You either catch that fish
Yeah,
or you lose it.
or you back spool all your wire.
You either catch it or you have to kind of be comfortable thumbing the spool, like making sure you don't.
I like my skin.
So but I've seen that on my boat. But what do you think?
Always done this, and then we had this conversation, which kind of I thought I was maybe not. I thought that I'd never met anybody else that did it, but I would actually I'd loosen the drag in the rod holder.
Yep.
And I'd take it out, and then I let that fish really establish that run, and then I turn the drag into it. And my thought, it's just like saltwater.
Yep.
It's like the circle hook idea where you're never doing this, but you're just putting that pressure and just kind of driving her home.
And
Let
that's
the fish
just
do the
setting the
work.
hook. Yeah. So I mean, the fish is hooked itself, but you're just kind of making sure that hook is good and buried.
Yep.
And I think it's a good idea. I think it in my mind, it increases the number of diver fish that you land.
I think so. I mean, that's one thing that, especially in innuendo, we don't. I shouldn't have, but we don't tend to lose a lot of diver fish. It's like if they're hooked up, once we once we engage the drag, if they're there.
Yeah, you get the cheap bite where they're like tap 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 gone. They don't hook up, right? So sometimes I think they bite the teaser flies if you're meat fishing, or they just don't.
I see your teaser slid down.
You just don't get,
sucker.
Yeah, they didn't get the head, But I think that in my mind, and I'm curious to see what your take on it is.
If you had a GoPro on our boat when we get a diver bite, it'd be the funniest thing in the world because myself or Dave be like, hey, I think you got one, you know. And we always have our drag set so they can get some, but it depends on what the fish is doing. You know, if he's screaming, okay, give him some. And then once, you know, we'll go over there, we'll grab the rod holder, lift the rod holder up, pull it out.
Yeah.
You know, don't freak out, just take your time. But the main thing with divers, especially wire, is you got to be on those fish. I mean,
Yes.
I've learned that, and Dave's taught me that. I mean, just give it to them because there's so much give, there's so much play. You can really feel
and
everything.
Don't fight the paddle.
Right, fight the fish.
Fight the fish.
Because you can
If
see
you
the
don't feel
rod
the
tip
fish.
doing this. Get after them. And that's one thing that I was really bad at. I was babying them, and they'd come off. But he's like, give it to them.
Yep.
And that has changed everything.
Well, we were talking a little bit about this off camera, but I think, you know, trusting your equipment, trusting your knots, trust your leaders, you know, and drags, and you know, we have different takes on that, but at the end of the day, it's making sure you check your stuff.
You gotta check your stuff.
Making sure you're constantly checking your leaders to make sure they're not nicked up.
Yep.
Check your knots, check your swivels. You know, a swivel that comes out of the package and then's been dragged in the mud for 4 days is probably not going to be the same swivel it was when you took it out of the package.
No.
So just be aware that that swivel is really important, that rotator needs that swivel to be effective in order to turn.
If you bring something in and you're seeing a lot of line twist, it's usually the swivel's bad.
Swivel's probably
Caked
bad.
up with something.
Yeah.
And, you know, you get into the green slime, you get into the sand with them.
You gotta spray them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a
That
washdown
is
pump, it's
so
it's
key.
the way to do
Washdown
it.
pump is incredible. I mean, after every single trip, and always spraying them out. Always.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, I think divers are deadly.
Oh, they're my favorite.
And
my all-time favorite.
I think that, you know, really, if you don't have downriggers, it's not. If
it's not the end of the world.
You run
There are
4 divers.
definitely
it's pretty
times
good.
where we'll run 0 or 1 rigger.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
one
there's
is
times
very
I'll-
common for
I'll
us.
run 0.
1 is
Especially
very
on a
common
little
for
boat.
us.
I'll run 0.
Yeah, 1 is super common. Like, and it's because we're running a probe. We're going to put a set of spoons on 1 rigger, but generally speaking, we're not running 2 riggers. If I'm limited in the number of rods I can run,
Yeah, for sure.
because I think 2 riggers are not. I think divers are way more effective.
Absolutely.
And sometimes having the space, not having the cannonball down there ahead of your diver, can be a good thing. Like we've seen that where we put it, you know, we're fishing whatever, we want a trout, so we're going to bounce spot them with this, and we'll talk. We have these open conversations about, well, I don't think we should put it here because that low diver's been good and we don't want to shut it off.
You don't want to shut it off.
You know, especially bouncing where you're.
If it's working, don't change it.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
if you got your best rod or best side of the boat, if one side of the boat is absolutely crushing and the other side of the boat is maybe not as good, I'd be very leery. Change, but be careful. Like, be mindful of the fact that you can shut that other side off too.
It's something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
You know, why did that stop working? Did we add something? Did we change something? Did I change a high diver? Did I change a slider? Whatever it was.
Is your troll off 10 degrees? I mean, sometimes your troll being off 10 degrees will be enough to one side of the boat is really good and the other side is not.
I feel like the way that we fish, our troll's usually good.
Yeah.
You know, so that's not a factor. So these are like the factors beyond. But yeah, the troll, speed direction. I mean,
Yeah. But if I'm running the boat and I'm looking at one side of the boat is getting bit and the other is not,
yeah, it's something.
it's usually a troll thing or a speed thing or something. It's not generally. It's not that your baits on one side of the boat are better than the other side.
And that's why, like, I kind of preach this too. Run the same rods. Run the same high diver on both sides. Run the same low diver on both sides. Run the same board rods.
Yep.
Because
Same length,
you
same
can
everything.
see. So I mean, if you have 5 different brands and 4 different, stiffnesses, the
You're
fast
saying the
and all
specific
that.
rod,
the specific
not
rod.
the actual rod. So you're saying if you're using an Akuma rod, it's a 10'6" diver rod. Run that same rod on the other
on the
side.
other side.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can read. If you have
You can
different
see it.
rods, you can't read.
You can't tell. And
you can't
lose.
read.
You learn a lot from your divers.
Yes, you do.
A
That's
ton.
everything.
Yep. Your divers and your rigger balls.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times you like your rigger will shut off or whatever, and you look at it and it's slack or it's back,
Or underneath the boat,
or you're
kicked
dragging a
underneath.
fish, or you can learn a lot from those things.
Paying attention. I want to go back to quickly just one more thought on the hooking the diver fish. So one of the biggest things that I see people afraid to do are to back off the drag.
Yeah.
So, and the thing you need to remember is that as the spool diameter goes down, the drag pressure goes up automatically based on just the way the physics of the way the reel works. So if a king dumps 800 feet of line and is way out back, he's got a ton of drag on him, a lot more drag than he had with a full spool. So being mindful that you sometimes, even though they're taking line, sometimes you actually have to back the drag off.
Yep.
And
Let him go. Let him go. Don't do anything. Just let him go. Just let him roll. Once he turns his head, then you start working on that fish. But if the fish is going the opposite direction, don't panic. You got a lot more line than you think.
Yeah.
I've only been spooled. I count on one hand the number of times I've actually been spooled in 35 years of doing this. Yeah. So don't be afraid of. Make sure your reels are full, but don't be afraid of loosening the drag on a big fish, especially that's taking.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's only one way to speed it up, and that's to lose the fish.
Yep.
That is my. If a fish is making a big run and you're just going to keep turning the drag until it stops running,
It's not.
it ain't gonna work out.
Nope.
You are
9 out of 10 times.
You
not
are
gonna work
not
out.
stopping a 20-pound king going the opposite direction.
Nope.
No.
You're better off just
You're not doing
settle in.
You're gonna pull the hook, or you're gonna break them off.
break something off, and
Yeah.
I mean, you with the drag, just play with it.
Yeah.
Okay, if they're screaming, give it to them.
Yeah, I think
Okay, here you go.
It's fine.
Look at the counter like this and be like, this is gonna suck.
Yeah. But don't be afraid of. I think don't be afraid of backing the
Don't
drag
be afraid
off.
of. No, absolutely not.
That's a common mistake I think we see.
And don't be afraid of getting after that fish on the divers. I mean, reel till the clutch goes. That's how you know you're going fast enough.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole pump. People want to pump the rod right off the bat.
Nope.
You don't need to. Like let the fish do its thing.
Yeah.
Let it calm down. The only thing you're gonna do is wear yourself out, and you're tearing a bigger hole in the fish.
You just want to keep steady tension.
We
You
don't
want-
pump at all.
Yeah, you just want
Ever.
steady pressure.
Don't pump. Nothing.
People that are really good at catching, reeling in fish, I think they get away with. They can do it. I think it's an advantage to them. But 90% of people lose more fish from pumping than they win.
Because you think about it, you drag, you let down.
It's
Pull
slack,
back,
You're
Slide
picking that
down.
fish's head up
Yeah.
and then dropping it back down,
Right.
and up and then dropping it back down,
Right.
and that's just like you said. It's cut especially depending on what hook you use. If you're using a cutting hook, the hook is doing its job. It's opening a bigger hole the entire time you're doing that.
And then
every time you do that, you're just opening a bigger hole.
and you're getting more and more tired, and you're getting more and more sloppy, and then you go slack,
Yeah.
and it's gone.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. People get really tired. They get worn out really quick. And, just keep steady pressure.
If the line's going this way and the clicker's going, you don't need to reel.
No, you do
Believe it or not, you don't need to reel.
I can't gain anything. I know. I know.
Just wait.
Just enjoy it.
Well, thanks for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed our diver conversation. If you have any questions, throw us a comment. If you have any comments, throw a comment as well. So we're always learning from everyone else.
I wish we had more Malort.
You are the only person at this table that wishes we had more Malort.
You are not wrong.
If you work for Malort, call us. Let's not, no. Actually, don't call us.
I'm gonna show up to the boat tomorrow. There's gonna be a whole case. So no, I'm good.
Tyler, you're not going to believe who's going with us today.
Sure, Dave. Where
The
did this come
Jepson
from?
family is here. They're ready to go.
Holy smokes!
But anyways, thanks. Hit that subscription button. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Share it. Post a comment if you enjoyed it. We love making these, and that helps us out. If you want some awesome swag or white hair, Cam Chucks.
Yeah.
We got shirts, not these ones, a little different one. And we got these hats and another hat coming out here probably in a week. So if you want any of that stuff, right here, and type in reel to reel, and you will see all of our offerings. So awesome. Well, tight lines to you. Enjoy the rest of the winter, since it's winter now and it's cold out.
Time to ice fish.
We'll be fishing soon. Well, we'll be trolling soon.
We'll be trolling soon, but first
we'll be
we
fishing
need to
this
ice
week.
fish.
Yeah, all right.
We need to ice fish.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.